She thinks she is the best. She thinks everyone bows to her. I can't let this happen.
Listen, come closer. Let me tell you a story about how jealousy grew quietly inside a friendship everyone admired. A friendship everyone thought it would last. Not knowing that the one girl has decided that if she couldn't shine, she would rather destroy the one who did. The letter fell from Sophia's hands onto the floor. Her dreams fell with it. Grace stood by the door. She would not look at Sophia's face. She held her phone tight in her hands. That same phone helped her destroy everything Sophia loved. The letter said Sophia could not join the national art competition anymore. Sophia's beautiful painting was gone. Grace had taken it and put her own painting in its place. She used Sophia's name to do it. When the judges found out, they said Sophia could never come back. The friendship that everyone loved to see was now dead. The room was so quiet it hurt. Sophia felt weak. She looked at Grace. This was the girl she called her best friend for 12 years. Grace's face was white like paper. Her mouth moved but no words came out. The scholarship money that could help Sophia's family was gone now. All the respect Sophia had earned with her art was broken. But the worst pain was not about the competition. The worst pain was knowing that her best friend had hurt her on purpose. Sophia's heart felt heavy. Tears wanted to come out of her eyes, but she pushed them back. She would not cry in front of Grace. Not now. Why? Sophia said the word so softly. It was almost a whisper. But that one small word held so many questions. Why did you do this? Why did you hurt me? What did I do wrong? Sophia had shared everything with Grace. She told Grace all her secrets. She told Grace about her fears and her dreams. She told Grace when her family had no money. When Grace was happy, Sophia was happy too. When Grace was sad, Sophia held her hand and made her feel better. They made promises to each other under the big tree near their school. But now, standing in this cold room, Sophia saw the truth. Grace was not the friend she thought she knew. Something had been growing inside Grace's heart like a dark plant. Something ugly and mean. And now that dark thing had destroyed everything beautiful between them. Sophia's hands shook. Her whole body felt cold. The girl she loved like a sister had become a stranger. And the worst part was that Sophia never saw it coming. She never knew that Grace was angry. She never knew that Grace wanted to hurt her. How could she miss something so big? How could love make her so blind? Before we continue, if you love powerful emotional stories like this, stories that teach real-life lessons, hit that subscribe button right now and join this family. Because the next story might be the one you truly need to hear. 10 years ago, Sophia and Grace met on the first day of school. They were both 7 years old. Sophia wore a blue dress her mother had sewn by hand. Grace wore new shoes that shined in the sun. They sat next to each other in class. The teacher asked everyone to draw a picture of their family. Sophia drew her mother, her little brother, and their small house. She used bright colors and made everyone smile in her picture. Grace looked at Sophia's drawing and her eyes grew big. "You draw so well," Grace said. Those were the first words she ever said to Sophia. And Sophia smiled the biggest smile. "Thank you," she said. "I can teach you if you want." From that day, they became friends. They walked to school together every morning. They ate lunch under the big mango tree. They did their homework sitting on Sophia's front steps. Grace lived in a big house with a tall fence around it. Sophia lived in a small house with a tin roof that made noise when it rained. But none of that mattered to them. When they were together, they laughed until their stomachs hurt. They told each other everything. They made up songs and danced in the rain. Everyone in the town knew them. "There go the two friends," people would say. "They are like two hands washing each other." Sophia loved to draw and paint. Her mother could not buy her fancy art supplies, so she used old newspapers, charcoal from the fire, and colors she made from flowers and soil. But everything Sophia made was beautiful. Teachers put her drawings on the classroom walls. Other children asked her to draw pictures for them. Grace would sit and watch Sophia work. She would say, "You are so talented, Sophia. One day everyone in the whole country will know your name." And Sophia would laugh and say, "If that happens, you will be right there with me. We will be successful together." But what Sophia did not know was that Grace's words were not always true. Deep inside, Grace did not want to be next to Sophia when she became successful. Grace wanted to be Sophia. She wanted people to look at her the way they looked at Sophia. She wanted teachers to praise her. She wanted to be the special one. But Grace kept these feelings hidden like a snake hiding in tall grass. She smiled at Sophia. She hugged Sophia. She called Sophia her best friend. But in her heart, a small seed of jealousy was starting to grow. And like all seeds, it would not stay small forever. As the years passed, Sophia's talent grew bigger and bigger. When she was 12, she won a school art competition. The prize was a set of real paint brushes and oil paints. Sophia cried with joy when they gave her the prize. She ran to Grace and hugged her tight. "We can share these," Sophia said. "You can use them whenever you want." Grace smiled and hugged her back. But inside, her stomach felt tight and angry. Why did Sophia win and not her? Why did everyone always choose Sophia? Grace went home that day and threw her own drawings in the trash. They looked ugly next to Sophia's work. And that made Grace feel ugly too. When they were 14, a teacher chose Sophia to paint a big mural on the school wall. It was a great honor. Sophia painted a beautiful scene of children playing under a rainbow. She worked on it for 3 weeks. Every day after school, she stood on a ladder and painted. Grace would come and watch. Other students came too. They would clap and say, "Sophia, you are amazing." Grace stood in the back of the crowd. Nobody looked at her. Nobody said her name. She felt invisible like a ghost. Her hands became fists. Her jaw became tight. She loved Sophia, but she also hated her. And that confusion made Grace's heart hurt in a way she could not explain. The final pain came when they were 16. A boy named David came to their school. He was handsome and kind and smart. Every girl wanted him to notice her. Grace saw him first. She fixed her hair and wore her best dress. She walked past him many times hoping he would talk to her. But David's eyes did not see Grace. His eyes found Sophia. He watched Sophia paint during art class. He smiled when Sophia laughed. One day, he gave Sophia a flower and asked if he could walk her home. Sophia's face turned red. She looked at Grace as if asking permission. Grace forced a smile and said, "Go ahead." But inside, something broke. That night, Grace lay in her bed and cried. She had a big house, nice clothes, and everything money could buy. But Sophia had something Grace could never have. Sophia had a light inside her that made people love her. She had talent that made people stop and stare. She had a goodness that drew people close like moths to a flame. And Grace felt like she had nothing special at all. She was just the friend who stood in Sophia's shadow. The anger that had been growing inside her for years was now a fire. And fire does not think. Fire only destroys. Grace made a decision that night.
She thinks she is the best. She thinks everyone bows to her. I can't let this happen.
Grace started small. She began to lie. When other students asked about Sophia, Grace would say things that were not quite true. "Oh, Sophia. Her mother helps her with all her paintings," Grace would whisper. "She does not do it all by herself." The lies were like tiny drops of poison in clean water. Slowly, some students started to doubt Sophia's talent. Some stopped praising her as much. Sophia noticed that people acted different around her, but she did not know why. She asked Grace, "Do you think people are angry with me?" And Grace, with a sweet smile, said, "No, you are imagining things. Everyone loves you." Then Grace did something worse. The national art competition was announced. It was the biggest art competition for young people in the whole country. The winner would get a full scholarship to art school and money for their family. When Sophia heard about it, her eyes filled with tears of hope. Her mother was sick and they had no money for medicine. Her little brother needed new shoes. This competition could change everything for her family. Sophia worked day and night on her painting. She painted a woman who looked like her mother, standing strong even though life was hard. The painting was so beautiful it made people cry when they saw it. Grace watched Sophia work on that painting and her jealousy burned like hot coal in her chest. She imagined Sophia winning. She imagined Sophia on television. She imagined Sophia's face in newspapers. She imagined everyone forgetting Grace completely. One night, Grace could not sleep. She lay in her expensive bed in her big house and made a terrible plan. She would make sure Sophia never won that competition. She would make sure Sophia failed. And maybe, just maybe, if Sophia was broken and sad, Grace would finally feel happy. The thought was evil, but Grace did not care anymore. She was tired of being second. She was tired of being invisible. Grace started spending more time at Sophia's house. "I want to support you," she told Sophia. "I want to see your masterpiece grow." Sophia was so happy. She showed Grace every detail of her painting. She explained every choice she made. She trusted Grace with everything. And while Sophia painted with love, Grace took pictures of the painting with her phone. She memorized every color, every brushstroke, every detail. She studied it like a thief studying a locked door. And Sophia, sweet and trusting Sophia, never suspected that her best friend was planning to steal her future. Love made Sophia blind. But jealousy had made Grace into a monster. 2 weeks before the competition deadline, Grace put her plan into action. She went to Sophia's house when Sophia was at the market helping her mother. Sophia's little brother was outside playing. The door was not locked because they lived in a place where neighbors trusted each other. Grace walked into Sophia's small room. There, on an easel by the window, stood the finished painting. It was more beautiful than Grace remembered. The woman in the painting seemed alive. Her eyes held pain but also hope. Grace stood there for a moment. A small voice inside her said, "Stop. Do not do this. This is wrong." But Grace pushed that voice away. She took the painting off the easel. Her hands shook as she carried it outside. She hid it in a large bag she had brought. Then she went back inside and left a note that said, "Took your painting to show my mother. She wants to see it, we'll bring it back tomorrow." Grace. Sophia's little brother saw Grace leaving with the big bag, but he did not think anything was wrong. Grace was like family. He trusted her. Grace took the painting to her house. In her room, she set up a canvas. She copied Sophia's painting exactly. Every detail. Every color. Every emotion. It took her 3 days of not sleeping. Grace was not as talented as Sophia, but she could copy. And she copied perfectly. When Grace finished, she had 2 paintings that looked almost the same. She took photos of her copy and submitted them to the competition. But she did not use her own name. She created a fake email address and put Sophia's name on the entry form. Then Grace did something even more evil. She took Sophia's real painting, the one Sophia had poured her heart into, and she burned it. She watched the flames eat the canvas. She watched the colors turn black and disappear. And when it was all ashes, Grace felt something strange. Not happiness. Not relief. Just emptiness. But she told herself it was worth it. Sophia would be crushed, and maybe then Grace would finally feel like she mattered. The next day, Grace went to Sophia's house with tears in her eyes. "Sophia, something terrible happened," Grace said, her voice shaking. "I took your painting to show my mother, remember? Last night, there was a small fire in our kitchen. The painting was in the next room and it got damaged by smoke. I am so sorry." Sophia's face went white. She ran to Grace. "Where is it? Can it be fixed?" Grace shook her head. "It is ruined. I am so sorry." Sophia collapsed on the floor and cried. Her whole body shook with sobs. Grace held her and said comforting words. But inside, Grace felt nothing. She had become so cold that even Sophia's tears could not melt the ice around her heart. If this story is touching your heart already, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We tell stories that open eyes, expose hidden truths, and remind you to protect your peace. You don't want to miss the next one. 3 weeks later, the competition organizer sent an email. They wanted to meet with Sophia. They said her painting was selected for the final round, but they had some questions. Sophia was confused. "But my painting banned," she said to Grace. "How can it be in the competition?" Grace's face went pale. Maybe someone else submitted a painting using your name. Maybe it is a mistake." Sophia decided to go to the meeting to clear up the confusion. Grace went with her, her heart beating fast like a drum. She knew she was about to be caught, but she could not think of a way to escape. At the office, 3 judges sat behind a big desk. They showed Sophia a photo of a painting on their computer screen. It was her painting. The woman who looked like her mother. Every detail exactly as Sophia remembered. "Did you paint this?" they asked. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, I painted it. But it burned in a fire." "How do you have it?" The judges looked at each other with serious faces. "This painting was submitted to our competition. But yesterday, we received an email from someone who says you stole this painting from them. They say you copied their work and submitted it as your own." Sophia felt like the ground was falling away under her feet. "No. I painted this. I spent 6 months on it. I can prove it." She pulled out her phone and showed them photos she had taken while working on the painting. Photos of the sketch. Photos of the painting half done. Photos with dates on them. The judges looked at the photos. Then they looked at the painting submission. "The painting you submitted is different from the one in your photos," one judge said slowly. "The brush strokes are similar but not identical. It looks like someone copied your work." Sophia's mind was spinning. Nothing made sense. Who would copy her painting? Who would try to destroy her? Then, like lightning in a dark sky, the truth hit her. She turned to look at Grace. Grace was sitting very still, her face white, her eyes on the floor. "Grace," Sophia said quietly. "Grace, look at me." Grace slowly lifted her eyes. And in that moment, Sophia saw everything. The guilt. The fear. The jealousy that had been hiding for years. "It was you," Sophia whispered. "You took my painting. You copied it. You submitted the copy with my name. And then you burned the original." Grace's lips trembled. Tears ran down her face. But she said nothing. Her silence was the loudest confession. The judges looked shocked. And Sophia's world shattered into a million pieces. The judges were very serious. They said that because of this confusion and dishonesty, Sophia was disqualified from the competition forever. It did not matter that Sophia was the real artist. It did not matter that Grace had lied. The rules were clear. Any entry involved in fraud or deception would be removed. Sophia tried to explain. She cried and begged them to understand. But they would not change their decision. "We are sorry," they said. "But we cannot risk our competition's reputation." Sophia walked out of that office feeling like her soul had been ripped from her body. The scholarship was gone. The money for her sick mother was gone. Her reputation was destroyed. And it was all because of the person she loved most. Grace ran after Sophia into the parking lot. "Sophia, please let me explain," she cried. But Sophia spun around with eyes full of fire. "Explain. Explain. You destroyed my life. You stole my work. You burned my painting. You lied to the judges. You lied to me." Sophia's voice was shaking with anger and pain. "I loved you like a sister. I shared everything with you. When you had no friends, I was there. When you were sad, I made you laugh. I celebrated every good thing that happened to you. And this is how you repay me." Grace reached out to touch Sophia's arm, but Sophia stepped back. "Do not touch me. Do not ever come near me again. I was jealous." Grace screamed the words like they had been locked inside her for years. "I was jealous of your talent. I was jealous that everyone loved you. I was jealous that you had something special and I had nothing. I wanted to be you, Sophia. I wanted what you had." Sophia stared at Grace like she was looking at a stranger. "You had everything, Grace. You had a big house. You had money. You had parents who were alive and healthy. You had nice clothes and good food. I had nothing but my art and my dreams. And you took even that from me." Sophia's voice became quiet and cold. "You did not love me, Grace. You never did. You only loved what I could give you. You loved standing next to me so people would notice you too." Sophia turned and walked away. Grace fell to her knees on the ground and sobbed. People walking by stared at her, but she did not care. She cried like a child who had lost everything. And in a way, she had. She had lost her best friend. She had lost her own soul. She had become the villain in a story that could have been beautiful. Days turned into weeks. Sophia stopped going to school. She stayed in her small house, taking care of her sick mother. She did not paint anymore. The joy was gone from her hands. When she looked at brushes and paints, all she felt was pain. Grace tried to call her. She sent messages. She went to Sophia's house, but Sophia would not see her. Grace had killed something precious, and dead things cannot come back to life. 6 months passed like a slow, painful dream. Grace's guilt ate at her every single day. She could not sleep. She could not eat. She looked at herself in the mirror and hated what she saw. A destroyer. A betrayer. A jealous monster who had hurt the one person who truly cared about her. She wrote letters to Sophia every week, but never sent them. What words could heal a wound so deep? What apology could bring back a stolen future? Grace's parents noticed the change in her. "What is wrong?" they asked. But Grace could not tell them. How could she explain that she had become evil because she wanted something that was never meant to be hers? One day, Grace saw Sophia at the market. Sophia was helping her mother sell vegetables. Her mother looked thinner and sicker than before. Sophia's face was tired. The light that used to shine in her eyes was gone. Grace wanted to run to her, to beg for forgiveness, to tell her how sorry she was. But her feet would not move. She stood far away and just watched. A little girl came up to Sophia and asked, "Can you draw me a picture?" Sophia shook her head sadly. "I do not draw anymore," she said softly. The little girl walked away disappointed. And Grace felt like someone had put a knife in her chest. She had not just stolen Sophia's opportunity. She had stolen Sophia's joy. She had stolen her gift. Grace finally found the courage to write one last letter. She poured her heart onto the paper. She wrote about how jealousy had poisoned her. She wrote about how she knew she had destroyed something beautiful. She wrote that she understood if Sophia hated her forever. I do not ask for forgiveness, she wrote. I know what I did can never be forgiven. I just want you to know that I am sorry. I am sorry for every lie, every betrayal, every moment of pain I caused you. You deserved a better friend. You deserve someone who celebrated your light instead of trying to blow it out. I will live with this guilt for the rest of my life, and maybe that is my punishment. To know that I had the most precious friendship in the world, and I destroyed it with my own hands. Grace put the letter in an envelope and left it at Sophia's door. She did not wait for a response. She walked away knowing she would probably never speak to Sophia again. That night, Sophia found the letter. She read it 3 times. Tears fell on the paper, making the ink run. Part of her wanted to forgive Grace. Part of her wanted to hate Grace forever. But mostly, Sophia just felt tired. Tired of anger. Tired of pain. Tired of remembering what used to be. She folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Maybe one day she would forgive Grace. Maybe one day the wound would heal. But not today. Today, Sophia just sat by her window and looked at the stars, thinking about the friends she lost, the dreams that died, and the girl she used to be before jealousy came and burned everything down. 2 years later, Sophia stood in front of a small art gallery. It was not fancy or famous, but it was hers. After months of darkness, she had picked up a brush again. Not because she forgot the pain, but because she realized that Grace could take her opportunity, but Grace could not take her gift. Sophia painted differently now. Her paintings were about betrayal, loss, and healing. People who saw them cried. They felt the pain in every stroke. A kind woman who owned this small gallery saw Sophia's work at a local market and offered her a space to show her paintings. It was not the big competition or the scholarship. But it was a start. And starts matter when you thought you had reached the end. Grace heard about the gallery from someone at school. She went there alone one evening. She stood outside the window looking in. She saw Sophia talking to visitors, explaining her paintings. Sophia still looked sad, but there was a small light returning to her eyes. Grace wanted to go inside. She wanted to tell Sophia how proud she was. But she knew she had no right. She had lost that right the day she chose jealousy over love. So Grace just stood outside in the cold evening air, watching the friend she destroyed rebuild her life without her. The tears that fell from Grace's eyes were not for herself. They were for the friendship she murdered. They were for the girl she used to be before jealousy turned her into something ugly. Inside the gallery, someone asked Sophia, "Who inspires your art?" Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Someone who taught me that not everyone who smiles at you loves you. Someone who taught me that jealousy can kill even the strongest friendship. Someone who broke my heart and made me stronger because I had to rebuild myself from the broken pieces." She did not say Grace's name. She did not need to. The pain in her voice said everything. Later that night, Sophia looked at her reflection in the gallery window. She thought about Grace. She thought about forgiveness. And she realized something important. Forgiving Grace did not mean forgetting what Grace did. It meant choosing not to let that betrayal poison the rest of her life. Grace never got her moment of redemption. There was no happy reunion. No tearful hug. No, "I forgive you," that washed away all the pain. Some betrayals are too deep to fully heal. Some friendships, once broken, cannot be glued back together. Grace lived with her regret every single day, and Sophia lived with her scars. They both learned the hard truth, that jealousy destroys the person who holds it even more than the person it targets. And years later, when they were grown women living separate lives, they would sometimes think of each other. Grace would remember the friend she loved and destroyed. And Sophia would remember the friend who taught her that even people who love you can hurt you. Their story did not end with forgiveness or friendship restored. It ended with two women carrying the weight of what jealousy can do when we let it grow inside our hearts. And that weight, heavy and cold, would stay with them forever. If this story taught you something about jealousy, friendship, or trust, make sure you subscribe and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, one story can save someone from the wrong friend. And you never know who needs this message today.